Well, Jimmy Kimmel has been indefinitely suspended or basically canceled. And it all started when the head of the FCC, Brendan Carr, went on a show and started to threaten ABC and Disney.
I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel. Or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC. Again, there's actions that we can take on licensed broadcasters. And frankly, I think that it's really sort of past time that a lot of these licensed broadcasters themselves push back on Comcast and Disney and say, listen, we are going to preempt. We are not going to run Kimmel anymore until you straighten this out, because we licensed broadcaster, are running the possibility of fines or license revocations from the FCC if we continue to run content that ends up being a pattern of news distortions.
That's some mob stuff right there. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. How do you want to do it? Who are these people? Where do these people come from? How are these thugs in charge? What is going on? Within 48 hours, Kimmel's show was canceled because he dared make a joke saying that MAGA was trying to politicize the killing of Charlie Kirk. This is not cancel culture. It's straight up state censorship.
Amid pressure from the Trump-aligned FCC. And in the past few minutes, ABC confirmed to CNN that Kimmel's show will be off the air, quote, indefinitely. We have not yet heard from Kimmel or his representatives. That's how quickly this has been developing. But let's back up and look at what Kimmel actually said on the program that has caused controversy. This is from Monday night in his Monday evening monologue. Kimmel suggested that the alleged killer of Charlie Kirk might have been a pro-Trump Republican. He said, quote, the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
And for anyone who hasn't been paying attention, this was not random. Trump has been after Kimmel for a long time because Kimmel dares make fun of him. Matter of fact, when Colbert got canceled, Trump said that Kimmel was next. It's basically a hit list for all the late night talk show hosts. And you got commentators on Fox like this guy Byron York who's saying that this is a serious presidency now. Kimmel should have known. So basically, we're living in North Korea with Dear Leader.
ABC is a network that broadcasts on television stations that are mostly owned by other companies. And apparently, one of the biggest station owners in the country said that we're not going to air the Kimmel show anymore after this. I think with him, as it was with Stephen Colbert earlier, this was really a cumulative thing. And I think that Jimmy Kimmel didn't seem to understand that it's not 2017 anymore. If you think back to the terrible days of 2017 when the entire media was saying Russia, Russia, Russia 24/7. It dominated everything. This is a different atmosphere today. Of course, Trump is still controversial. Of course, there is still a resistance. But this is a serious presidency. They are failing to grapple with that. And now they're also obviously failing to grapple with the ugly violence.
So, as expected, Fox is not talking about the violation of the First Amendment. But you know who is? David Frum on CNN.
We had a threat of retaliation by a government official for someone not pronouncing government-commanded speech. There was an order from the state about what people must say. Jimmy Kimmel did not say that, and his corporation was threatened with consequences by a government official. This is not cancel culture because it's not culture. It's state repression. It's an order from the government. Here's the script you must read. If you do not read it, you will be taken off the air. Jimmy Kimmel didn't read it. He was taken off the air. This cannot be, because he's a comedian, there'll be people who say maybe we shouldn't take this as seriously. But here's the comparison I would suggest. When Paul Pelosi was brutally attacked, many, unfortunately, including the son of the former President Trump, made light of it. A terrible thing, heartbreaking, a terrible attack on an 82-year-old man. Imagine if the Biden administration had given a script and said, this is what everybody must say about Paul Pelosi. And if you don't say it, we will bring pressure to bear on your parent corporation to fire you. Greg Gutfeld at Fox, you're not sad enough about Paul Pelosi. You're not saying what we command to be said about Paul Pelosi. Therefore, unless Fox fires you, we are going to bring regulatory havoc to bear on the parent corporation.
Frum is right. This is state repression. And what's even crazier, you got Brian Kilmeade on Fox just this past week advocating for killing the homeless.
Billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
So let me get this right. You can't make fun of Trump, but you can advocate for killing people. Is that how this is going to work? Is that what we're doing? This, ladies and gentlemen, is a big, big, big deal, because this is an attack on all of our rights to say what we want to say. For the longest time, America has been the place where late night talk show hosts make fun of the leaders, the presidents, the people in power. And if there's going to be a switch where you have somebody like that guy, Brendan Carr, who's the head of the FCC, who, by the way, was involved with Project 2025, was involved with the Heritage Foundation. These people wanted to give more power to the executive, and now they have. And now you've got this executive branch who has a vengeful little toddler as president, who's going around and getting his different branches of government to go after people. We knew this was coming. We just didn't know it was going to come like this. In all honesty, I thought it was going to be something like he was going to get the IRS to investigate all these guys and make their lives hard. But what he's done instead is he's found ways to have the FCC put pressure on these networks, who are businesses at the end of the day, and they want to save their billions and billions of dollars, because what they have is they have deals that are in front of the FCC. And if the FCC says, hey, you know what, we're not going to approve that deal because you kept Jimmy Kimmel on there, and Jimmy Kimmel kept making fun of President Trump. This really is state repression. This really is North Korea. It's Russia. It's Iran. That's what it is. I'm originally from Iran. I'm a stand-up comedian. I used to do a joke about how the beauty of being in America is that we can make fun of our president. I could never make fun of the president of Iran in Iran, because if I ever made fun of the president of Iran in Iran, you'd be like, hey, that was a good show. When's your next show? And I'd be like, the next show is in prison. And now America has become a lot more like the Islamic Republic of Iran. We've become an authoritarian state where Donald Trump can just go after his enemies the way he wants. You saw after they got rid of Colbert, and Colbert, by the way, they said it was for financial reasons. But again, we know it was Colbert who had made fun of the fact that his parent company, Paramount, had paid a bribe to Donald Trump because they had a deal that was going through with Skydance, and they wanted the FCC to approve it. So all these companies are just bowing down to the FCC and saying whatever you want. Now, in the case of Jimmy Kimmel, yes, it's a private company. ABC can fire and hire whoever wants. They got their own practices. It's not a freedom of speech issue. However, if ABC had stuck with Jimmy Kimmel and said, no, we are not taking him off because you can't muscle us, this is government interference, then it would have become an issue of freedom of speech, because then it's the government telling these networks that what they can and cannot do with the speech. So it could have become something, gone into court. A lot of experts are saying that they would have won. They would have won, but these guys are just bowing down. And it's sad to see. It's sad to see these companies just bow down to this guy. He took the Kennedy Center. He's going after the museums. He's gone after the museums. He's gone after the universities, law firms, and now these networks and these late night talk show hosts. It's real insanity, folks. This is like, if you remember, in the 50s, you had Lenny Bruce, who would get arrested for saying words that he wasn't supposed to say, lewd words on stage. He was constantly getting arrested. And then George Carlin famously did the bit about, I think it's the 7 words that were forbidden on air. He did a whole bit about that, just to show the ridiculousness of it all. That's the point of a comedian, is to expose hypocrisy, to point to the world and say, this is what's going on. Put a mirror in front of you and go, look at what's going on. And I'm going to do it by entertaining you and then making you think. And that's what comedians like Carlin and Lenny Bruce were doing. And that's what comedians like these late night talk show hosts, Kimmel, Colbert, those guys have been doing, which is to put the mirror and go, hey, look, this is what happened today, and this is my take on it. Jimmy Kimmel actually had a very funny take on this whole thing. First of all, it's amazing how they've weaponized the killing of Charlie Kirk. Now, killing anyone, whether it's a political killing or any kind of killing, is absolutely wrong and abhorrent, and it should not happen. But what MAGA has done, and this is what Kimmel was pointing out, they turned around and they said, oh, the killer was a leftist, and the leftists are the most violent, and the leftists are the most radicals, and they're the most violent killers that are out there. Statistically speaking, the Department of Justice indicated that most of the mass shooters, most of the killings were from people who had been radicalized on the far right, not on the far left. Now, I don't care which side you're on. Killing is bad, and people that are killing other people have mental health issues, because you got to get to that point to do that. But if you're looking at this statistically, people on the right, Dylan Roof, you've got the guy who went to in El Paso, went to the Walmart with the Latinos that started killing the Latinos. He did that because he believed that Latinos were invading America the way Donald Trump keeps saying that they are. The guy who went to the Pittsburgh synagogue. A lot of these guys, the right-wing guys, if you look at the ideology, but regardless of what wing you're on, they're just unstable. And that's what they're doing. But what MAGA has been doing is to take this killing of Charlie Kirk and try to flip the script 100%. And we've seen now that Donald Trump, in his speech, he had a chance after the killing of Charlie Kirk to bring the country together, to bring down the temperature. But he didn't. He went in there, he started by saying a couple of words about, hey, this is not right. We need to work this out. And then he started going right after the radical left, radical left, radical left. And they're saying that it's because the radical left calls them fascists. Well, there's thousands of videos of Donald Trump calling Kamala Harris a fascist, communist, socialist. He put every ist in there. He just isted her all the way. Think about when Paul Pelosi was hurt by the guy who attacked him with a hammer. We saw that earlier. When Paul Pelosi was attacked, Donald Trump Jr. was making fun of it. Donald Trump was making fun of it. He was at a speech and he was making fun of it. How about when the Democratic lawmakers were killed in Minnesota? Nothing. And then somebody asked Donald Trump, they said, did you think about putting the flags at half-mast when those Democratic lawmakers died? And he said, well, Governor Tim Walz didn't ask me. If he'd asked me, I would have done it. Meanwhile, when the killing actually happened, someone asked Trump, are you going to call Tim Walz? And he said, no, it'd be a waste of time. So it's crazy. Folks, whatever they are saying is what they have done. That's what it is. It's basically them trying to distract and saying when they say that the violence is coming from the left, they know the violence is coming from the right. When Trump says, he's trying to avoid the Epstein file. He's trying to stay away from the Epstein files. When he says there's nothing in the Epstein files, that means there's something in the Epstein files. This is just natural. And what's going on right now is beyond ridiculous. We're living in this world where we are slowly, or I should say pretty fast, because it's only been 8-9 months, we're losing our rights. The Heritage Foundation had Project 2025. If you look at Project 2025, go back and look at it. The things that they listed that they wanted to do, they have succeeded in like 50% of those things. Going after universities. They're telling universities what they can and cannot say. And what they do is they use excuses. In this case, Charlie Kirk's killing is now the excuse to go after anybody who dares criticize the things that Charlie Kirk had said when he was alive. Or in this case, Kimmel didn't even criticize anything Charlie Kirk said. He just said that MAGA is trying to politicize it. That's basically what he said. He had another joke that was a great joke in there because he said, well, some people are mourning, and then he cuts away to Donald Trump in front of the White House, and the reporter asks him, sir, you lost your friend Charlie Kirk. How are you feeling? And without missing a beat, Donald Trump goes, I'm doing great. Look at the construction. We're building this ballroom over here. He just goes into that. I think his mind is just mesh, and he's a narcissist, and he can't comprehend sympathy or empathy. He just can't. And so they cut back to Kimmel, and Kimmel goes, well, that's one of the stages of grief, construction. Because that's what Donald Trump keeps talking about, his construction, when his close friend was killed. At least we think it's a close friend. But Donald Trump doesn't have any sympathy and empathy, so he can't feel anyway. And so we're in this situation now where they're using things as an excuse to go after people they don't like. The universities, what are they using to go after the universities? They're saying, anti-Semitism. You guys were anti-Semitic because you let the Palestinian, pro-Palestinian protests happen on your campus. So they're going after all of these big universities from Columbia to Cornell to Harvard to you name it, UC Berkeley, all of the schools. They're going after all of these schools and they're saying, we want to find out what your curriculum is. We're going to send someone there to oversee your curriculum. And they're withholding research money for that. So he has weaponized government like it's never been weaponized before. And once again, let's go back what I said earlier. If they're doing it, they accuse the other side of doing it, and then they do it. When Donald Trump was being actually investigated for his involvement with January 6th, he kept saying they're weaponizing the government against me. They're weaponizing the DOJ. And the first thing he's done, he's weaponized the DOJ. He has weaponized now the FCC. He has weaponized the IRS. You name it, he's weaponized these different agencies to go after people. And so it is a dangerous time. I know that Jimmy Kimmel's a comedian. I know that he's well off, that he doesn't even need the job necessarily, but he is an important part of our American system and way of life. He really is. Not just him, all the late night talk show hosts. We have a tradition of late night talk show hosts entertaining us and giving us the news in a fun way. I'm telling you, without Kimmel and without Colbert, I'm losing my mind. Like, how am I going to get my news? I got to watch real news now and you know, just be depressed. I loved watching Kimmel. I loved watching Colbert because at least they made the news a little bit palatable. But now they're gone. And some people, again, are making excuses. This guy, you saw the commentator on Fox going, well, he should have known. No, he shouldn't have known. In all honesty, objectively speaking, if you look at the clips, I want you, when you're done with this video, I want you to go and look at the clip of what Kimmel did and said. And you tell me if that seems offensive. It wasn't offensive. It really wasn't. If anything, if you didn't like it, if there was some issue, you make note of it. If you don't like it as a viewer, you stop watching. If you, as some kind of governing entity, don't like it, you turn to the network. You go, hey, you know what? Here's a little warning. You can't keep talking about these types of things. And then the network can talk and discuss and see if it's worth it or not. You don't just get the guy fired, which is what they did. They just shut him up. Because how dare you? And let's not forget, guys, I just want to let you know, this has been a long time coming. Donald Trump did not attend his own correspondence dinner from the first time out. And that was the first time a president had done that. He does not have a sense of humor. He's got a small ego. He doesn't want you to break his ego. And so he knows all these people are coming after him, and he uses the power of the government to go after them. He is a little crybaby, and we are stuck in a world right now where we have to deal with him until hopefully we can win the midterms and start putting up some blocks. Because currently the Republican Party ain't blocking nothing. They don't care about democracy. They don't care about freedom of speech. They just care about the power that they have and maintaining the power and kissing his butt. That's it. So again, I think the thing to do is to protest, to protest against the companies that are doing these things, to protest in the streets if there's protests, attend the protests, and to write ABC, let them know they did the wrong thing. To write Disney, let them know they did the wrong thing. The same way these billion-dollar companies are telling us they're the ones in control. So there was some of the TV affiliates, Nexstar being one of them. These are the TV affiliates who run these shows on their stations. They're the ones who went to Disney and were like, oh, we're going to take him off because we feel what he said was offensive. So the same way right now billionaires have this power to basically tell networks what to do, us consumers should have some power too. And the only way we can have power is to have numbers. So please get involved. Please make sure you register to vote. Please make sure you go out and vote in the midterms. Otherwise, listen, we're only 8-9 months in. We're this far. I don't know what we're going to be like come midterms. But if we don't do something then, it's going to really, really be dark here. Well, that was a long one. I'm comedian Maz Jobrani. I have a channel right here on YouTube. It's at Maz Jobrani. Give it a follow. Let me know you came from Rebel HQ. I post stand-up comedy every day until they stop me. So keep telling jokes, folks. Keep telling jokes.